Welcome back to another episode of Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network, episode 56. But today we're going to be talking about the episode Blood of My Blood, Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 6. Jay, what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was great.
I loved this episode. Yeah, I think this is like one of the, honestly, like best episodes of Season 6 so far. I really enjoyed this episode. Yeah, I agree with you. So I'm glad you liked it
We
as
get
well.
some introductions. We get some a lot of cool storylines going on here.
Yeah.
And, trying to keep up with everything. That's the fun part too. Is trying to keep up with everything. To be honest, especially now because I feel like now because there is so much we've been following since the beginning that now they're all starting to collide and become as one. And sometimes some of these guys you haven't seen since fucking some of them since the first couple of seasons, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to point out is that not only do we see some new faces in this episode, like we're talking about people showing up that we haven't seen since season 1, season 2 of Game of Thrones. So like they're really
I couldn't even remember their name.
They're really playing the long game here in terms of like the world building that's occurred on this show, the character development. And, I mean, even going forward in the next couple episodes now, I know you're not there yet, but again, we're going to see some new and old faces emerge towards the end of season 6 as time goes on here, leading into the final 2 seasons of the show. And like really everybody's kind of coming out of the woodworks that's ever had to play, and more new people as well. So like it just, whenever there's like so many characters that we end up losing every season to deaths and this and this and that, or kind of they shuffle them off the board for a period of time because they kind of put their story in another direction.
Yeah.
They end up cycling new people in, or they end up just putting them off to the side for a few seasons and then bringing them back. So honestly, it is quite interesting. They do quite a good job of cycling people in and out. Like it's such a huge cast of characters that I don't blame you. Like you said, I don't remember one of the guys that shows up in this episode, and I don't blame you for that because he had a very small part previous to this. Like I think you're talking about Benjen, right? Yeah. So like again, very small part. They did talk about him a bunch. They did show him briefly, but it's not to the extent of him having this whole great big scene in this episode, right? So like, yeah, this is very interesting stuff, honestly. Like, and I remembered him coming back. I didn't remember when it happened, but then when I saw this episode, I was like, oh, okay, there he is, right? So I knew that was kind of in play still at some point. Like I knew he was gonna make an appearance, so it was fun to see him there.
Yeah, you get everybody in this episode, just about, man.
Yeah.
So we get to see we get to see what happens from here on out. It's starting to hook me in. It's starting to make me write more.
Yeah, the next
I don't
couple
know
of
why.
episodes are really good too. You're gonna enjoy it. Like honestly, the rest of the season I feel like now is really, really good. I kind of feel like this one had a bit of a slow start after all the big things that happen at the end of season 5. But as we know in Game of Thrones, when they do build up all the characters and the stories and everything else, like by the end of the season, if like everything pops off, right? Like we have
they kill them all off.
Yeah, we have a lot of big things that happen by the end of each season, right? So look forward to that. But yeah, let's get into it without further ado here. First scene of the episode, Beyond the Wall. We got Mira pulls Bran through the snow. We kind of take this takes place right after where we left off in the last episode.
What's funny? Sorry, that's another thing I mentioned about this episode. I wrote this down too in the beginning. This is the first time that the intro was played in the middle. This is the first time in this whole series that
you noticed that, yes,
that the intro wasn't the first thing that started the show.
And then in the next episode or two, it happens again. Actually, yeah, you're gonna see it does happen again.
It's almost like, but it's not like they're going in reverse and saying this is what happened, like most shows do. What happened previously on.
They kind of do the cold open, as they call it, where they kind of just drop you in the middle of a situation, and you're kind of like, oh, it kind of gets you like even interested before the start of the intro and everything else. You kind of like, yeah, because they're kind of wasting no time because they're like, oh yeah, remember where we left off at the end of last episode? Let's see what's going on with that, right? So yeah,
it threw me off, man.
I think it's just the kind of they know viewers are gonna really be glued. It also kind of gives them the opportunity to, if you're watching something before this show and then this comes on, you're like,
okay, switch over.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason. I don't know, but yeah, this cold open approach. You're right. Yeah. I don't feel like they've ever done it up to this point. And to your point, because I've already watched ahead, I think in the next maybe 2 episodes from now they do it again. Which kind of, I didn't realize this episode that they did it, but I did notice it for the next one because it's another big reveal that's going to happen coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, some
As
interesting
soon as
stuff.
I was like, wait a second, hold
Yeah.
on. And
Yeah.
because I was getting ready to skip the intro because
Yeah.
I always skip the intro.
Sure.
So I just
Yeah, you watch it so
I
many
hear,
times.
you hear it so many
Yeah,
times. You hear
yeah,
the
it's
song. It's just
understandable.
playing it in my dreams
Yeah.
sometimes. I feel like I should put it as my alarm clock. But yeah, so yeah, it was the first time that I was like,
Yep.
okay, I got to start writing.
Yeah, you're right.
Hold on.
You're right. So yeah, she pulls him through the snow as he remains in vision state, but she is clearly getting tired. Bran experiences a rush of visions. King Aerys shouting, "Burn them all!" The Red Wedding, his family, Whites in Hardhome, Wildfire, Dragons, Jaime Lannister, and the Iron Throne. Pursuing Waits are also seen. Mira cannot go on any further and tries to wake Bran, who comes out of his visions to say they found us. She can hear them approaching through the trees. With no more energy left to pull Bran and barely enough to draw her sword, she apologizes to him for failing him as the Waits come into sight. Just as all appears hopeless, a mysterious rider appears and attacks them with a sickle and a flaming flail. Once they're in the immediate vicinity, the ones in the immediate vicinity have been dealt with. He urges Mira and Bran to come with him because the dead don't rest, and they escape on horseback. Yeah, that was a good intro. That was a good way to kind of like start the episode off, right? Because like we did think they were doomed at the end of last episode because again, there's only so much that Hodor could have done holding them off with that one door when they were such in hot pursuit, and they have like thousands of people probably at this point, the White Walkers. Who the hell knows how big their army is, but they're chasing them down, and yeah, they got help out of nowhere here, right? Were you expecting that? Was that a big surprise to you? Of course, you don't really know who that is at this point in time, but like, was this like, did you think they were going to make it, or were you worried about them?
Yeah, I was kind of worried to see what the fuck was going to happen, right? Because
Yeah.
you didn't know. They just ended you off. But
It looked like they were fucked. Yeah, they looked like they had no, like, really, this guy came out of nowhere, right? Yeah.
So it threw me off.
Then another great scene here in this episode. We travel over to Horn Hill for the first time in this next scene, right? And we get to know Sam's family a little bit here.
Is that who that is?
Yeah, Sam and Gilly. They approach Horn Hill, the seat of House Tarly. Sam warns Gilly that they must claim little Sam as Sam's son, and that Gilly should hide the fact that she is a wildling.
Watched the wrong episode.
Are you serious?
I think I might have, bro.
What'd you write down?
They had something else because I had something else with the Hound.
Nope, that's the next episode.
Yeah, and I went to the next one, so I kind of went a little further ahead.
Did you watch this episode?
I don't think I did. I don't remember this part that you're saying right there, guys. I apologize. See it, but
bro, you watched the Hound episode where it was revealed that he's alive?
Yeah,
that's the first episode where the cold open that I was referring to.
Yeah.
So you were talking about that episode?
Yeah, I guess because it says when I wrote it,
bro,
it still said "Blood of My Blood," the one I watched, unless it was loaded wrong or whatever. But yeah,
bro, that's episode 7.
Oh. I have to just double check this because I honestly, unless it wasn't there.
That's why when you said that, I was surprised that you said that. I was like, I don't remember that happening this episode. I thought you were referring to the. So how did you know the part about him fucking going through the snow with Bran?
That's what I'm wondering. That's what I said. I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
And the next scene here, we visit Horn Hill for the very first time as Sam goes back to his home. Him and Gilly, of course, have been traveling there. They approach Horn Hill and the seat of House Tarly. Sam warns Gilly that they must claim that the little Sam is Sam's son, even though it's not, as we know, his actual son. And that Gilly should hide the fact that she is a wildling since his father hates wildlings, which obviously, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. This place though, it's really nice, like a really nice, you could tell that Sam actually comes from money and that he like he actually does have an important family where he's from, obviously, and he just kind of got, I guess he couldn't find his place amongst all of these people in his family, so
felt like the different one.
Yeah, he's kind of the outcast, so he ended up going to the Night's Watch, right? Because I guess they couldn't really find something for him to do. Like he's
Yeah.
not as able-bodied, or he's more smart than anything, right? He's more So he kind of went to the Night's Watch and trying to find his way there, but then he ends up back home right now, and he introduces Gilly and little Sam to his mother, Lady Melissa Tarley, and sister, Lady Talia Tarley. In spite of her rough appearance, both immediately notice Gilly's beauty, and Melissa is delighted to meet her first grandchild. Tala tries to tell Sam of her upcoming wedding, but Melissa shushes her. Talia takes Gilly under her wing, offering her a dress and a spare bedroom. So they kind of they embrace her like as their own, like right away. So they're, as he mentioned, his mother and stuff is lovely, but his father's kind of a dick, doesn't get along with them, right? So
they're all in this fun, man. Like all the other guys after a certain age, they just seem to become dicks.
right.
Oh.
Then we go over to King's Landing. Tommen is speaking with the High Sparrow about Marjorie's upcoming Walk of Atonement, and the High Sparrow offers to let him see her. Tommen enters Marjorie's cell and is surprised to find her speaking positively about the High Sparrow and about her past sins, including her vanity about being seen to help the poor and needy. And she kind of talking to him, and she's saying about how he keeps saying, no, you're good, you care about people. And she's like, no, I more cared about the appearance of helping people, right? Like she kind of which we did kind of see from Marjorie, even though she did parade herself around King's Landing, it was more just to rub it in Cersei's face that she was better than her. And, she kind of cares more. And, obviously she wanted to become queen. So she cared more about, just like people in social media today, she cares more about looking good than actually doing good, right? Yeah. So and he kind of finds himself agreeing with her feelings towards the High Sparrow. And in this scene, it kind of really got you thinking, is she brainwashed? Is she actually now seeing her ways like being as bad? Like some of the things that she did the High Sparrow get through to her? Like, is she getting brainwashed by religion? You know what I mean? Or is this legit, or is she putting on a show? It really gets you to start wondering right now about whether or not this is for real, right? So
that
I can't hear you. You got to talk on the mic there.
Gets you thinking. It really gets you thinking, going.
Yeah, it does. That evening, they all have dinner along with Sam's father, Lord Randall Tarley, and brother Dickon Tarley. Sam reveals his plans to become a maester and eventually return to Castle Black. Randall criticizes Sam for his weight and mocks his attempt to claim hunting and fighting skills, both of which Sam admits can actually be attributed to Gilly and Jon Snow, respectively. Of course, both being better at that because she was a wildling. She knew how to survive out in the wild. And, Jon Snow obviously knows more than Sam does in that regard, too, right? So his father makes him look stupid in front of Gilly and everything else, and, puts him down. And, I'm sure other people have experienced this family dynamic. I'm sure, right?
People can relate.
We love Sam, though. He's a great character. So Talia is delighted to hear that Gilly can hunt for herself and suggests that Randall should be more like Gilly's father, a suggestion which makes Sam and Gilly wince. Gilly, because we know who her father is technically.
Yeah.
That the guy who was banging all of his daughters.
What's his name? Frey.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, Frey is the guy that was from the Red Wedding. Walder Frey, wasn't it? Isn't that who Walder Frey is? I forgot that guy's name, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
you're talking about the one that just sleeps with his daughters.
Yeah, which they killed now, right? So Gilly defending Sam from Randall's verbal assault mentions Sam his heroism on 3 different occasions in which Sam proved himself to be a greater warrior than Randall will ever be. She kind of sticks up for him in this moment. She says to her father, "It's like you're sitting here insulting your son. You really weren't there all the times that he saved me. He killed a White Walker. He did this. He did that. Right? He's like, he's gonna be a better man than you'll ever be. Right?" And she's talking about that. But in doing so, she inadvertently reveals her origins from north of the wall. She kind of mentions the fact that, she didn't, she's like, when we traveled back from so-and-so, he saved me. And she's like, why? Well, how are you out like those ways exactly? Right. And then it's revealed in this moment that she's a wildling. He doesn't seem to take in her point about Sam's qualities, but instead only hears that she is a wildling. In this moment, he reveals his prejudice against wildlings and his contempt for Sam. Melissa, thoroughly angered by his behavior, his wife, declares that Sam isn't the only one dishonoring House Tarly. Randall is. She then storms out, taking Talia and Gilly with her. Randall eventually agrees that Gilly and little Sam can stay at Horn Hill. Gilly will work in the kitchens, and little Sam will be acknowledged and raised as a bastard. However, this will be Sam's last night at Horn Hill forever. So he basically says Gilly and the kid can stay here because this is technically your kid, you know, he's a bastard.
Yeah.
And he's just being nice and allowing her kid to stay there by trying to act like, you know, this is all on the level. But you get the fuck out of here, he says to Sam, right? He's like, I don't ever want to see you again. Sam later apologizes to Gilly for not standing up to his father in that moment and that he will be leaving at first light. However, he shortly returns to her after like leaving the room, declaring that he has changed his mind and says that they need to stay together as they belong with each other and that they're all leaving right now. On the way out, he takes his family sword, which they pointed out during the dinner. There was Valerian steel that is hanging in this fucking room on the wall. Heartsbane, the family's Valerian steel sword. Now that's worth noting because it's Valerian steel. There's not many Valerian steel swords out there. Now, if Sam comes across any White Walkers in the future, he's got a Valerian steel sword, and he stole it. Yeah, it's his family sword that was supposed to be his when his father died. Okay. His father brings it up during the dinner. And he says like, yeah, you're never gonna fucking get this sword, like, basically because he doesn't respect him, and he's like, you're never gonna take that. He's like, it's mine. He's like, it belongs to me. I am a Tarly, and you know, in the middle of the night after he's fed up with him, he's like, fuck him. He takes the sword and he's like, let's get out of here. He grabs his family, Gilly and their son. Let's go.
Look at that. The man steps up finally. He's showing us some balls, Sam. Eh? Yeah. Fuck. Lately he's been he's been a little much, bro.
I like Sam. I like Sam.
He's stepping it up.
Then we're catching up with Arya in this next scene. She's watching the second half of the Murmurer's performance of the Bloody Hand, in which the caricature version of Tyrion poisons his nephew and murders his father during this play as she's watching, right? She displays amusement at the rendition of Joffrey's painful death while the crowd watches mournfully. She then seems moved by Lady Crane's performance as Cersei. She notices Bianca, the actress playing Sansa, mouthing Lady Crane's lines, possibly reinforcing Arya's hunch that Bianca is behind the Faceless Men's order for Lady Crane's death. So now she's kind of putting two and two together for herself, trying to understand like why this person needs to go. Why is this person the person that's marked for death as a result of the, Jaqen Hygard, right? So I don't know. Again, I'm not a big fan of all this, but we'll see how it plays out. As the play is finishing, she sneaks backstage and poisons Lady Crane's rum, hesitating before doing so. She's still backstage as they come in, and Lady Crane recognizes her as having been in the audience earlier. The two talk, and Arya realizes she has much in common with the actor. Arya suggests to Lady Crane that Cersei's final speech is out of character to be the real Queen Mother. Cersei wouldn't be grief-stricken, she'd be outraged and out for vengeance. Impressed with Arya's insight, Lady Crane compliments her again and asks if she enjoys pretending to be someone else. Apparently uncomfortable at what she has done or unsettled by the question, Arya makes an excuse that her father is waiting for her and she leaves. This is interesting, I will say, though, because Arya got to see these moments play out by people on the stage reenacting them, even though she wasn't there for these things. So in a way, she's actually catching up with the things that happen that she's only kind of heard about somewhat. Like
the shows are the acting is filling her in. The actual,
that's right.
Yeah. I didn't realize too, even with that,
because Arya wasn't around during any of that. Arya has been gone since the end of the first season. Sansa is the one that was there for everything that was in the play. Yeah. The death of Joffrey, all that, because Sansa stayed in King's Landing.
Yeah.
At that time.
Sansa had seen it all.
Right. So like Arya is kind of like experiencing these moments for the first time by seeing it reenacted through the play, which is kind of interesting, I thought.
That's cool.
No, right?
Yeah. The play is fucking hilarious though.
It is. It is. But of course, that's something like even in medieval times that like existed.
Like carnival.
They used to do that. Yeah, they used to go town to town. They would do that, go town to town and put on these plays and stuff like that, right? So yeah,
be a woman and stuff like that.
Well, that's what Shakespeare was too. Shakespeare, same thing, right?
Yeah.
They would call them the traveling circus play type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lady Crane argues with Eisenbaro about improving the script, and just as she is about to drink her rum, Arya reappears and knocks it from her hand. She points at Bianca and warns Lady Crane that Bianca wants her dead before running out. Unknown to Arya, the waif witnesses this exchange, the one that's with Jaqen H'ghar, right? Who hates her. Then we see that waif reports back to Jaqen asking for permission to kill Arya. Jaqen reluctantly agrees, contemplating it as a shame as Arya had many gifts and allows the waif to proceed. But he mentions she is not allowed to let Arya suffer if she kills her. Then we see basically Arya, she hides in a small room now that she's got her sword back. She blows out her candle and waits in the darkness for the retribution that she knows she is coming because she didn't kill that woman. Like, she's fearing now while staying in that place that they're going to try to kill her. Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Sorry, dry mouth. I'm not even sick. Just
I know.
Too much talking.
Take a whiskey. No, take a sip of the whiskey. But that actually makes sense now that you're reading it. Sorry.
It's all right.
Oh man, makes so much sense to me. No, I'm being serious too.
Yeah, I know. Later, Mace Tyrell leads an army through the streets of King's Landing to awaiting Jaime Lannister before giving a rather pompous speech at which Jaime cringes. Together, they proceed to the Great Septa Baelor, outside which the High Sparrow, Septa, Unella, and the Faith Militant and a large crowd of city folk are preparing for Marjorie's Walk of Atonement. So yeah, in this scene, as they talked about in previous episodes now, with the Tyrell's army, they are now going to go and try to make their move on the the religious guys, because of the fact that they've kind of taken over in King's Landing, and that because of Cersei's doing by putting them in a position of power, right? So the army arrives along with Olenna Tyrell. As the High Sparrow is speaking, and Jaime demands he release Marjorie and Loras before they can be on their way. The High Sparrow refuses and fends off Jaime's threats to kill all the sparrows by saying each sparrow yearns to die in the service of the gods. After a tense few moments, he proclaims it will not be necessary, as there will be no Walk of Atonement. Marjorie has already atoned for her sins by bringing another into the faith. To Jaime's astonishment, the doors of the Sept open and King Tommen emerges. Escorted by his own guards, and walks down the steps to join the High Sparrow and Marjorie in a demonstration of unity between the crown and the faith. And just like that, Tommen announces that the crown and the faith are now working together under his king leadership. And once again, they get foiled by this religion because he's now gotten in Tommen and Marjorie's head, and they've agreed to kind of come together and unify.
Okay, that's making sense now to me.
By the way, guys, for anyone that doesn't notice, Jay actually didn't watch this episode, so we are going to proceed throughout anyways. He went ahead and watched episode 7 instead of episode 6. I only learned about this during the recording, so the way this was edited, we might leave that part out. We should have mentioned it at the top of the episode, but I didn't learn it until like halfway through this one. So there you go, guys.
What I found was something pretty good that I'm following along with, and it actually makes sense for all the next season.
Sure. So Jay's really trying to fill in the blanks. We just thought we'd be a little bit transparent about it because it is quite funny. So for this time alone, it looks like Jay just watched the wrong one going into this. But
to get beat up.
Do yourself a favor and go check out this episode, Jay, when you're done with this here, because it makes a lot.
Fills in a lot of the blanks where I was asking for the next episode.
Yeah, how did this happen? Yeah, exactly. That's why, Jay.
Why does she have nice hair already in the second?
This fucking episode? Guy. Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
This is one.
The first time.
This is one for the books.
I've ever fucked up on watching this episode.
So if Jay looks like he's learning with you guys during this episode, it's because he is.
I'm playing it off pretty good.
For anybody who's never seen this show, of course, we all know, why would you watch the show without having actually watched the show before, right? Jay is just along for the ride, though, this one.
This one, yeah. Thank God it was trusty. Everything that you guys, if you ever watched this in the original and it was writing notes, it's a lot easier to follow along with then. It's like a book.
Oh, God. Anyways.
No, I didn't know that. I was wondering why she had nice hair.
Yeah. So Marjorie has already atoned for her sins by bringing another into the faith. To Jaime's astonishment, the doors of the sept open and King Tommen emerges escorted by his own guards and walks down the steps to join the High Sparrow and Marjorie in a demonstration of unity between the crown and the faith. The crowd burst into cheers after Tommen's speech, demonstrating that the High Sparrow now has the support of both the crown and the small folk. Wow.
That's fucking crazy, bud.
Baffled, Mace asks what is happening. Olenna replies in disgust that the High Sparrow has beaten them once again. At the same time, a furious Jaime seethes at the High Sparrow's triumphant expression. He's got like this shit-eating grin on his face in this scene, bro. You should see it. It's fucking disgusting. Like, it's just like, he's like, yeah, I fucking outsmarted you guys again. Like, this guy literally got put into that position of power and has been now like making himself more and more untouchable, bro. It's crazy. So that's why, like, it looks like it appears that he's brainwashed Marjorie now, and Tommen being a little bitch and has no mind of his own. And actually, they've had those talks. Remember, they're having those talks. He's like, oh, well, my wife feels this way. Why don't I agree with her and kind of come together and we'll both like hand in hand. This way she doesn't have to have her walk of atonement. I'll save her. I'll protect her. Yeah. And I believe in this faith now. Yeah. So now like he's literally like they made this attempt to take him down. Yeah. And he screwed up this whole rollout by like unifying the crown and the faith now, like officially. Now the faith is no longer just working for them. They're just working with them, like for them. He's working with them.
Yeah.
This is bad. This is bad for them, bro. This is bad for them.
Well, it's bad for the ones that are in the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. What a shocking turn of events. This was a great scene that Jay didn't actually watch. So you got to go back and check it out. Oh, this episode's ridiculous. I apologize, guys. This is our first. This is the first time this has ever happened.
This was the surprise for you, Nico. No, I honestly.
Jesus, you think it's a surprise, guys? This is a surprise for me. Believe me. Later in the throne room, Tommen strips Jaime of his position in the Kingsguard because an attack on the faith is an attack on the crown, but reveals that Jaime will not have to face imprisonment or humiliation. He can continue to serve his king and the Lannisters, just not in King's Landing. Bro, he strips Jaime of his fucking like Kingsguard.
I can see why they're on a walk.
What do you mean?
No, it makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Why they're out and about in the next episode.
Yeah. Why they're out and about.
Next scene we got there.
Why does he strip his own uncle? Like, why do you want to do that?
Listen.
Why would you do that? I guess he's got his mother. I don't know. His wife is in the mix. He still haven't got laid yet, man.
Yeah. Next scene we got at the Twins. Walder Frey, your boy there we were just talking about earlier, receives word that Riverrun is lost, retaken by Brynden Tully. He is flabbergasted, blaming his sons for allowing the Blackfish to escape the Red Wedding. As we do remember, during that wedding, he did escape on a horse. Like he was one of the Tullys that actually got away during that whole ordeal. Yeah. The Tullys being Catelyn Stark's family.
Yeah, family.
Despite having superior numbers, Lothar Frey and Walder Rivers inform their father that houses Mallister and Blackwood have risen against House Frey, and the Brotherhood without banners are rallying the small folk and raiding their supply lines and camps. Walder demands that the Tully stronghold be taken back, refusing to be humiliated for failing to hold a castle from rebels. He decides to use his trump card to force their surrender. Remember this guy that gets emerged all of a sudden in this scene? Of course, Jay does, because he skipped ahead and watched the next episode instead. But we got Edmure Tully. That's right, who hasn't been seen since the Red Wedding episode. One of the only other survivors that was taken away with his new wife that left that room and then imprisoned directly after when they killed everybody else in that room. That's right. This is Catelyn's brother, of course, held as a prisoner of the Frey since the Red Wedding. Walder brings him into his hall and jokingly tells his son-in-law to cheer up as he is going home. So, again, speaking on people that we haven't seen in quite some time, you may have forgotten about this dude, but that's right. He's still alive and in play. Here he is once again, Edmure Tully.
Yeah, Edmure Tully. I know he's still alive.
Of course. That's what happens when you watch the wrong episode. Then back over to King's Landing. Jaime later complains to Cersei that he's been ordered to help Walder Frey recapture Riverrun, but instead he intends to have Bronn find as many hired killers as possible, then march into the Great Sept and kill the High Sparrow. Cersei says that he should go to Riverrun and show everyone how easily a Lannister can take a castle, as to attack the High Sparrow and his fanatics would probably result in Jaime's death and destroy everything they were working for. She does not need Jaime to be in the city for a trial. It'll be a trial by combat, and she is the unbeatable mountain. She reassures Jaime they will still defeat all their enemies, and they kiss. Cersei's cooking in this scene, though. She talks that shit in this scene. She's
really a bitch, though. But
she is.
I and I want to see where her character ends up at the end of the fucking series. Like she, how many lives does she have so far? Like, I mean, she's around for everything, bro. And that's the thing that's a little bit, fucked up about it, is that how long can she stick around for?
I know.
There's people that are, turning against her, and it doesn't matter left or right. She somehow pulls her way out.
She's cunning. She's cunning.
No.
Later, when they have reached relative safety and the rider is preparing a meal, Mira asks why he helped them. The mysterious rider reveals he was sent by the three-eyed raven who lives again. Just as he says this, Bran wakes up. The rider reveals himself as a disfigured Benjen Stark. Now, Benjen is his uncle, and he was referred to earlier in the series, if you remember, probably not since like season 1. And this is a guy that had died, apparently, with the Night's Watch, or so we thought. And he's disfigured and fucked up here, so something obviously ended up happening to him, which they get into. Bran's uncle explains that he was stabbed in the gut by a White Walker's sword and left to die, but the children of the forest rescued him and stopped the magic that would have turned him into a White Walker. He explains that Bran now must be the three-eyed raven, and when the White Walkers come to the realms of men, Bran will be waiting for them. They're putting a lot on this kid to be like the savior of everything going on with all this White Walker stuff, right? Or at least that's the tale that they're telling in this right now. That's apparently like all this predestined shit that they've been talking about and everything else, that he's apparently the three-eyed raven is supposed to play some huge part in all this, right? But
is it like going you can get them to follow him in the same direction instead of going to in that one spot, like follow
the tree,
follow if he's awake now, and then follow him to where they gotta go, like, you know what I mean? The White Walkers are looking for him. They touched him. They didn't touch anybody else.
Yeah. But I don't know if they can still follow him now that I know if he still has that mark, maybe they can. Maybe they're just gonna be on the run for the rest of this time right now, right? I guess we'll see.
So he gets to be the three-eyed raven now that his wolf's
He's
dead?
the three-eyed raven, yeah. It's not because of the wolf. It's because the guy that was in the tree. Yeah.
But I
three-eyed raven is the guy in the tree.
I feel like they had to kill off the wolf because he couldn't be both. You know what I mean? Like, in a sense, he couldn't have the control of both of them.
Well, he wargs into the dire wolf. That has nothing to do with him being the three-eyed raven. That's just one of his abilities, right? So.
No, I know. They all have one. I know the family all has.
Yeah. Not anymore. I mean,
no, that's right. I mean, that's right.
I think John's the only one that still has one at this point.
Extinct, yeah.
And then finally, in the Dothraki Sea, Daenerys Targaryen is riding with Daario Naharis and her newly acquired Khalasar of 100,000 men. She asks Daario how long it'll take to get back to Meereen and inquires how many ships would be needed to carry her army across the narrow sea. Daario replies that it'll take a week to get back and at least 1,000 ships to take her new Khalasar across the sea. Pondering this, Daenerys tells the Khalasar to halt as she rides on ahead on her white horse. After a while, Daario announces he will look for her, but is stopped by the distinctive shadow of a dragon passing overhead. After a moment, Drogon appears and slowly circles the Khalasar before landing, revealing Daenerys on his back. Daenerys asks if the Khalasar is willing to cross the narrow sea to defeat the armies of the Seven Kingdoms and rip down the keeps of its lords, as Drogo had promised. When they shout their affirmation, Daenerys reminds them that every Khal in history has selected 3 blood riders to ride at his side at the head of the Khalasar. Daenerys, however, is not a Khal and does not have to abide by their rules. Therefore, she declares the entire Khalasar her blood riders. So now she has the entire army of the actual Dothraki now under her, after escaping that whole thing with the being in that tent with all the the widows of the Dothraki in the
When she
last
came
episode.
out burned. When she came
Yeah.
out of the fire,
And now she leads all the Dothraki, and her army gets even fucking bigger now. And she's got another faction of people under her wing now as a result too.
If these, because I mean, she has the fire, right? So I wonder, like, because it's fire and ice and all that shit, who comes out on top? It is the fire, or the fire is gonna always beat the ice, bro.
Right.
I know the ice turns to water afterwards, technically in real life,
Right.
if you want to say it like that, right? But you know, I
Like,
don't know.
we'll see.
Evaporation, it all goes back into a cycle. It just becomes, you know. But
I mean, at this point in time, the way that they're building up both sides of their armies, like the biggest threats right now going, you got three, let's say. You got whatever's going on in King's Landing, if they can figure out what the fuck's happening there, like who's in charge right now. You guess now the religion, the faith, and the is now along with the king now. There's like that's their biggest like the army right there is those two. The fact that they have the faith and the crown now together.
yeah.
You got the Khaleesi, you got all of her army now that's coming through the throne that will be going to King's Landing, right?
We got the witch stuff too.
And we got the White Walker stuff that's happening. Nah, the witch stuff, I mean, that stuff with, I mean, you got the Jon Snow wildling stuff right now as well, but they're all fighting for the North right now. So they're kind of off doing their own thing. I mean, if we're going to talk about the two people that are going to, we got Daenerys literally about to go to get her throne, get the Iron Throne. So she's got to go to King's Landing to be able to do that, right? And then also you got the White Walker stuff that's happening, which basically will involve anybody that they come into contact with. Like that's
the scary part,
right? Those are the major
that's what they're saying.
Things building
fire
right
and
this.
Ice. Those are like
there you go.
I mean, they get fire and ice whole
right.
theory about the books, right?
Now where the story will lead us, we'll see where that leads us. But right now, those are the big things happening right now in the show. Like everything else, these other minor stories or however else it's going to play into things. But you're noticing already in this episode and other episodes, like in the last one with the Theon Greyjoy's people, like Buddy there, his uncle was saying that he wants to go marry Daenerys. Like there's all kinds of people now joining Daenerys or want to join Daenerys. Like if you notice,
hearing about it.
Varys is over there, Tyrion's over there. Wherever Jorah ends up, maybe he'll end up back with her again. We don't know, right? Like
we know that he's not there. Like,
right.
He's still just in the wild.
Right. Right.
Right. I like to see that.
And don't forget, don't forget all of Jon Snow's stuff. They're not allegiant to anybody at this point.
Still begging, right?
I mean, like the Wildlings right now, the only thing they want is people to join them so they can take out the White Walkers. But Jon doesn't
join them because of Wildlings, right?
Now, if they do end up winning the Battle of the North against the Boltons, whoever comes out unscathed from that whole situation, are they going to go for the crown or are they going to join up and fight the White Walkers? That's the thing. We have different people going for different like reason that like their whole they all have different motives right now. Like some people want the crown, some people are just looking to survive. Some people are looking to fucking take claim over their own region, like with the North stuff going on, right?
Yeah, they're just trying to humper down and trying to fucking make sure they can at least survive what's going to happen. Because there's a lot of them
hunker down
that don't know that
humper down.
Sorry, that don't humper down.
My apologies for this. My apologies for this episode, guys. This is one of our worst episodes.
It fills in the blanks. No, it fills in the blanks, man. Because I thought it jumped weird.
I'm glad it did.
But
it's
feel
okay.
Like a fucking asshole too. I'm gonna
come
and watch it tonight.
It happens. But, hey, listen, we can probably record this next one now if we want, since you watched it. All right, guys. That's gonna do it for this one, though. Another episode. I'm not gonna say a great one. This episode was great, though. The episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, I probably missed watching a good episode.
This is a really good episode, which is a great lead into the next episode, which is a really good episode.
That's what I thought. I was like, this is a great episode.
Clearly, any comments that are left from the edit that I'm going to have to go back and do now that Jay made at the start was directed towards the next episode, not this one. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. I am so upset.
Hilarious.
I am honestly.
No, it makes for a moment. This was quite funny, guys.
I don't think I've ever fucked up on a TV show ever. And
no need to apologize. It made fun for a funny viral moment. There you go. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this one. I'm just gonna wrap her up.
Hey, I'm not happy that you can laugh, but I feel like a fucking.
It's okay.
I really do, guys.
Jay will be back with us
Everybody-
next week.
Whack was the yeah, I'm whack all the time. But no, honestly, guys, I am. Yeah, all the work that Nico does put into this, and we do put watching, taking the time. I fucking.
It's okay. Jay makes up the episodes, guys. It happens.
Seasons,
It happens.
It up.
Once is acceptable.
Once it's acceptable, you let me have one.
Jay will. I know somebody that'll love to see this moment though, and really get at you for this one.
I can only imagine. There's probably a few real diehards out there that I can see comments being left for it, guys. And I'm ready for them. Bring them all.
So there you have it. Jay's ready for you guys. So next episode, season 6, episode 7. It's called The Broken Man, aka JT. And make sure to tune in for that one. Same time, same place.
I'm so happy.
Next week and Thursdays at 8 p.m. as we air these guys. And thank you for checking them out. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And let's welcome Jay back with open arms on the next episode as he gets caught up once again with
I'm going to study that one. Don't you worry. I'm going to make sure that any of the comments that you guys leave about that, I will have the answer for
there
you
right
go. There.
All right. We'll be ready for you. All right, guys. Later.
Peace out.